Welcome to Eternelle Amor, and hello to all the awesome folks in their 30s. Today, we got some extraordinary insights from the renowned psychologist, author, and speaker, Dr. Jordan Peterson. If you're in your 30s and looking for some guidance on love and relationships, you're in the right place. Dr. Peterson, known for his profound wisdom, is here to help you navigate the unique challenges and opportunities that come with love in this exciting decade of your life. He'll share practical tips and advice to empower you to overcome obstacles and build meaningful, lasting connections. So, if you're ready to supercharge your love life and make the most of your 30s, let's dive right into Jordan Peterson's invaluable advice. Get ready to be inspired.
I think that people are having a harder time finding, let's call them more permanent relationships, is because it's become increasingly easy to have fleeting, casual, sexual relationships. I mean, Tinder is a revolution, right? It's a revolution in sexual behavior, and it's certainly not obvious that it's that's right. especially for men. I think that that's generally the case. I mean, part of the reason for a relationship is sexual contact, obviously. Well, that's that you don't necessarily need a relationship for that, but that's not the reason to be with someone. The reason to be with someone when there's a lot of them, but then also you kind of want to tangle your life together with someone, because you have someone it's like two ropes that are tangled together. It's stronger, especially during times of weakness, and you have two brains instead of one, and that actually turns out to be really helpful when things are complicated. And it builds a solidity into your life and a reality into your life to have someone who's along with you on this very long voyage. And so I think that deepens your life in a way that isn't really possible with fragmentary relationships as a single person. And then there's more to it than that. It's like, I think of wrestling. There's this scene in the Old Testament where Jacob wrestles with an angel. He's wrestling with God, actually, which is quite an interesting... That's what Israel means, right? Wrestling with God. Yeah, that just blew me away when I learned it. So the true people of Israel are those who wrestle with God.
Wrestle
yeah,
with
it's
God.
not believe exactly. It's a whole different thing, man. It's a whole different thing. And his hip is dislocated, right? Permanently. He has a permanent limp after that. It's no joke. But I think of marriage the same way. Like, people think, well, they lived happily ever after. It's like, that's not what you want in a marriage.
Yeah.
You want someone to contend with, because you learn through that wrestling, like you learn where you're an idiot and where you should stop being, and vice versa. Yeah. So that's the spiritual aspect of marriage. It's the fact that you have to contend with someone under all sorts of circumstances. It's a manner of promoting psychological, or you could say spiritual growth. And it's genuine. That's why marriage is a sacrament in most human communities, right? It's stamped both by the state and by the sacred authorities, because it's not just a physiological union. That's what animals do. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with the physiological union, but it has to be placed in the context of everything else a human being is. And I do think it's dreadful for people not to have that. It is hard although, it's easier to meet people because there's more ways of meeting them. I think there are different kinds of hard that it is. It's hard for couples to figure out how to manage two careers. It's hard for women to figure out how to get educated and get their career launched at the same time that they're finding a partner and having kids. Because women have this tight time frame, I mean, they've got to get a lot done by the time they're mid-30s for sure. And so it's not much time, it's like 15 years really from the time you're an adult. You better get at it. It's not very long.
Right.
So I think there are new challenges that have arisen that weren't there for previous generations. But previous generations had it hard in other ways. There's sacrifices to be made in the short term. The effort issue is like, well, when you're in love with someone, you're going to organize your schedule and make them a priority. It's obviously a priority. And then you get married and, you kind of get accustomed to having each other around, and then everything else is more important and the relationship drifts to the bottom. And then people get dissatisfied and they start looking for excitement and adventure otherwise. Well, you can't do that. You have to prioritize the relationship. Like, my observation clinically has been, for a couple to maintain their relationship without it deteriorating, they have to spend 90 minutes a week together talking about their lives, about how the house is run, about what they've all been doing, to keep their stories caught up, right?
Yeah.
It's not that much.
Yeah.
But and which is a good thing. You can actually do it. And then they need to spend at least one time having a date. And 2 is better. 1 is necessary. 2 is better. You can't aim for a lot more than that because, life is very busy, and if it's going to be sustainable, it has to be realistic. But they need to make time for each other twice a week and talk in a non-romantic way, just practically about the domestic economy and about everything that's going on. And that keeps people tied to each other and updated.